Welcome to the middle, the news from both sides, no spin. 3 stories today. Here's what happened, here's what the left says, what the right says, and here's what the facts actually show. Episode 5, let's get into it. The Iran blockade. 7 weeks ago, the United States went to war with Iran. The Strait of Hormuz, the narrow channel that carries 20% of the world's seaborne oil, has been closed, reopened, and closed again, and right now, no one is sure who controls it. On February 28th, the U.S. and Israel launched airstrikes on Iran, targeting military and government sites. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was killed. Iran responded by blocking the Strait of Hormuz. A fragile 2-week ceasefire was reached on April 8th. Peace talks in Islamabad, led by Vice President J.D. Vance and the Iranian foreign minister, collapsed on April 12th. Trump announced a naval blockade on Iranian ports on April 13th. And Iran briefly reopened the strait on April 17th. Trump kept the blockade in place, and now Iran has closed it again on April 18th. As of this week, the U.S. Navy has intercepted or turned back more than 24 vessels. The left's take? The left's argument has 2 parts, and both are serious. First, the war was started without a declaration of Congress. The War Powers Resolution requires the president to notify Congress within 48 hours of committing troops to hostilities and wind them down within 90 days unless Congress authorizes the conflict. For the 4th time this year, Democrats tried to force a vote on war powers. And for the 4th time, Senate Republicans blocked it, with one exception, Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. The left's argument isn't that Iran is innocent. It's that the Constitution doesn't give any president the authority to start a war alone, no matter how justified it seems. The right's take? The right says Iran forced this. Iran was blocking a global shipping artery, charging tolls of over $1 million per vessel, and stalling every diplomatic effort. The Islamabad talks failed because Iran refused to commit to the one thing America required. Every day the strait stays closed, global oil prices spike, and American allies suffer. The right's argument? If the president waits for a congressional resolution every time a hostile nation holds the global oil supply hostage, the hostage wins. The facts? About 20% of the world's seaborne oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz, roughly 20 million barrels per day. The U.S. naval blockade cost Iran an estimated $400 million in lost revenue. Iran faces a deadline. Its oil infrastructure risks permanent well damage if the blockade holds past April 26th. The Senate has rejected war power resolutions 4 times, with only Senator Rand Paul voting alongside Democrats each time. And here's the thing neither side is telling you. According to multiple reports, Iran may have lost track of the mines it planted in the strait. That means Iran cannot fully reopen the waterway, even if it wanted to. The physical obstacles isn't just politics, it's ordnance. Both sides are fighting over a choke point that neither side fully controls. The bottom line, the debate over whether this war was legal is loud. The question of how it ends, when neither side can reopen the waterway unilaterally, is the one no one is answering. Story 2, Trump and his mushrooms. The president who ran on law and order just signed an executive order to fast-track magic mushrooms through the FDA. The meeting where he signed it included Joe Rogan, a former Navy SEAL, and a joke about whether Trump could try some himself. On April 18th, President Trump signed an executive order directing the FDA to expedite its review of psilocybin, the active compound found in psychedelic mushrooms, and ibogaine, a substance derived from a West African plant. Both drugs are currently classified as Schedule I controlled substances, the same category as heroin. The order commits $50 million in federal research funding and opens a pathway for eligible patients to access these drugs under the existing Right to Try Act. Joe Rogan said he texted Trump about ibogaine research. Trump responded within minutes. Sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it. Health Secretary RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz were at the signing. Trump quipped to the audience, "Can I have some, please?" The left's take? The left isn't uniformly opposed, which is in and of itself notable. Progressive states like Oregon and Colorado have already moved on psilocybin at the state level. But the concern is about the process. The existing body of evidence consists mostly of small observational studies and open-label trials. As of today, only one completed double-blind, placebo-controlled trial of ibogaine exists. and ibogaine has documented cardiac risks. It can cause dangerous, irregular heartbeats. The left's argument: letting a podcast host text the president and have a drug policy written in under a week is not how rigorous science works, and veterans deserve better than a rushed approval. The right's take: veterans are dying by suicide at a rate approximately 17 per day. The existing mental health system has failed them for decades. Ibogaine is already being used in countries like Mexico, with the results that researchers describe as dramatic. The FDA designated psilocybin as a breakthrough therapy years ago, meaning the agency's own scientists found the early evidence compelling enough to warrant expedited development. The Right to Try Act already exists precisely for situations like this. The right's argument: government red tape is not a virtue. When a treatment shows genuine promise and people are dying while waiting, we need more studies. It's not a neutral position. It's a choice with a body count. The facts: psilocybin and ibogaine remain Schedule I illegal substances. This executive order does not change that directly. The FDA has granted psilocybin breakthrough therapy designation, which is designed to speed the development of drugs with preliminary evidence of substantial improvement over existing treatments. Only one completed double-blind, placebo-controlled trial on ibogaine has been published. Ibogaine has known cardiotoxicity. Oregon and Colorado have legalized psilocybin therapy at the state level. The FDA will issue priority review vouchers for 3 psychedelics in the coming week, which can cut review timelines from months to weeks. And here's the thing neither side is talking about. Earlier this year, the same Trump administration vetoed a fast-track approval for a psilocybin treatment from a company called Compass Pathways. The FDA blocked the exact kind of expedited approval this executive order now promotes. The policy reversed in less than a year. Nobody in either party is asking why. The bottom line: this is either the moment the mental health system finally catches up to science, or a government that just spent 7 weeks starting a war without Congress now wants to approve Schedule I drugs based on a text message. Story 3: Deaths in ICE custody. 29 people have died in Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody since October. That breaks the all-time record, with 5 months left in the fiscal year. According to government data in a study published this week in the medical journal JAMA, 29 detainees have died in ICE custody since October 1st, 2025, surpassing the previous record of 28, which covered all of 2004. The JAMA study found that annualized death rate for fiscal year 2026 is the highest in the agency's 22-year recorded history, exceeding even the COVID-19 era spike. The ICE detention population has grown more than 70% compared to the first year of the Biden administration. This week, acting ICE Director Todd Lyons testified before Congress on the rising death toll. The left's take: Democratic senators and civil liberties groups argue this is a predictable result of a system expanded faster than it could absorb the growth. A report of JAMA physicians described the recent spike as occurring in a system with long-standing failures that were then compounded by policies that rapidly expanded detention to historically high levels, weakened oversight mechanisms, and worsened conditions of confinement. The left's argument: these deaths are happening inside a system that was deliberately expanded beyond its capacity, and transparency has been deliberately reduced at the exact moment it's needed most. One case drew particular attention. At Camp East Montana in El Paso, a 55-year-old Cuban man named Geraldo Lunas Campos died in January. ICE initially said he died of medical distress. The El Paso County Medical Examiner later ruled the death a homicide. Cause of death: asphyxia due to neck and torso compression. The FBI is now investigating. The right's take: Acting Director Lyons provided a different frame. The detention population is the largest in the agency's history since its creation in 2003. And in absolute terms, more people in custody means more deaths. The same way more drivers means more accidents. DHS notes the death rate is 0.009% of the detained population, a fraction of a percent. The right's argument: ICE spent nearly $500 million on detainee medical care last year. Every detainee receives a physical within 14 days of arrival. The agency is not indifferent. It's just overwhelmed. The facts: the JAMA study found this fiscal year 2026 death rate is the highest in the 22-year study period, exceeding even the COVID-era spike. Detentions are up more than 70% compared to the Biden administration's first year. Of 49 deaths since January 2025, ICE issued a timely death notice within 48 hours in only 15 of the cases. One death has been ruled a homicide by a county medical examiner, contradicting ICE's initial account. The FBI is currently investigating. And here's the thing neither side is telling you. The acting ICE director who said, on the record before Congress, "We don't want anyone to die in custody," handed in his resignation hours after that testimony. No explanation was given publicly. Congress heard his statement in the morning. By that afternoon, Todd Lyons was gone. Bottom line, the debate over immigration enforcement is one of the loudest in American politics. What happens to people once they're inside the system is one of the quietest. That's the middle for today. 3 stories, both sides, no agenda. If this is useful to you, share it with someone who's tired of being told what to think. See you Thursday.